Testing 1, 2, 3. You guys should be able to hear me. Fantastic. That is good news. Okie dokes then. So thank you all for tuning in and welcome along to the coverage. We have got free practice 3 starting in 30 minutes time, and it's going to be quite the exciting free practice 3 session. Just a quick weather update for anyone that is wondering about the weather. There are no chances of thunderstorms today, folks, so it looks to be totally dry in Singapore today. The chances remain at 10% all day, but that's mainly just because it is sort of monsoon/storm season in Singapore. And that means that the chance of rain is always sort of 10%, but it's not really forecast to rain today. It's much more likely that it will be raining tomorrow. So we shall, we'll keep that in mind, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. But and in fact, as I said, if you were watching yesterday's stream, I did mention that it was going to rain before the race tomorrow, and the weather forecast has been updated, and it's now going to be raining during the race itself, which is of course good news. And we'll just have to see if that forecast holds true or if it was false, like the forecast that we had for free practice 2. Oh yeah, I forgot to put the timer up for quali. Let me just stick that up on the screen. But yes, qualifying will be getting underway pretty shortly as well. Once the FP3 session is over, of course, that's having quali. Okay, so let me just get that up. There we go. Quali starts in 4 hours and 57 minutes. Okie dokes. Saying hi from New Zealand. Hi, Roger. Nice to see that you're here. You go, Liam. Yeah, I mean, Liam, of course, didn't have the best day yesterday with his little excursion with the barrier at turn number 16. But, he'll be looking to bounce back. And hopefully he hasn't got too many damaged parts as well. Because, there is one mistake of making there's one thing of making a mistake having the crash. But then there's another thing of trying to get back to the pits on a car that is clearly broken and damaging the rest of the car in the process, which was probably not the smartest move, but hoping he has sufficient spare parts to be able to continue on for today. Were the softs overheating yesterday in FP2? Not so much, really, not so much. Firstly, because in FP2 it was, of course, nighttime, so the track had actually cooled down in temperature, which helped out the drivers. The track went down to about 32 degrees, 31 degrees, and Pirelli didn't bring the C6 tyres this weekend. They brought only the C5s for the softest tyres, which also helped with the overheating problem. So it was multiple different factors. But no, we didn't have too much overheating with the soft tyres. And the forecast for today looks to be reasonably cloudy as well. So it looks to be cloudy for the majority of the day, which means that we're not going to have the sun baking the asphalt, warming it up to 50 degrees Celsius. So the overheating should not be too much of a problem around here in Singapore. Okay. Ivan, weather today seems fine. Yeah, thank you. For anyone that doesn't know, Ivan is currently in Singapore, and so he'll be our weather reporter for today. And it's actually quite good. We've, I think for the past probably about 5 races or so, we've at least had one person who is actually at the racetrack or is actually in the vicinity of the racetrack reporting on what's going on, which I think is quite nice to have. We're so close to 198k. Yeah, we're only 3 subscribers away, folks. To 198k. So if you haven't hit the subscribe button, be sure to do so. And then you can say, I was here before 200k. I was here before 198k. Okay. Oh, we've got a few more people here from Singapore as well. So nice to see that we are... Yeah, we've got a pretty worldwide audience. We've got John here from Ireland. We've got... Buck Moonshot from Perth. This is good to see. What software do you use for all of the data on the screen? I use Multiviewer. Multiviewer is the name of the software. It is you do need the F1 Premium F1 TV subscription, and and then you can use it. So if you haven't got that, then you can just watch my stream instead. But yeah. Okay, Singapore, a high deg track circuit or low deg track? It is very much a high deg track because of the high temperatures that we normally see around here, and it's not really we have other circuits which, for example, like Suzuka. Suzuka's very high deg, not because it is, not because of high temperatures specifically, mainly because of high speed corners. And Qatar's also very high degradation because of all the high speed corners. Here in Singapore, it's not the high speed corners because we barely have any. I'd say the high speed corners that we have got on this circuit are probably turns number 18 and 19. But apart from that, they're all slow speed or medium speed corners. And the main majority of the tyre wear comes from the fact that we do have just warm conditions in Singapore all the time. Got Sydney, Monterey, California, people from Botswana. Oh, this is incredible. Germany, Wales in the UK, yeah. Turkey. Do you have a name? Well, I do actually have a name, but for the purposes of YouTube, my name is F1 Gamer, and yeah. Qualifying in Singapore is 3 hours and 54 minutes. Wait, not 4 hours. Is it? I must have. Oh, I probably have actually set that up wrong, isn't it? Oh, it is. Yeah, it is 4 hours away. Actually, I need to reduce the hours on that timer. Give me a sec. Let me just update that. There we go. All right. Brilliant. Thanks for letting me know, folks. Okay, so we are now, a couple of things to look forward to in FP3. Firstly, the teams will be doing a little bit more of the long runs. Typically, we don't see too many long runs in FP3, but the thing is that we haven't had the most accurate representative running in Free Practice 1 or Free Practice 2 mainly, because of the fact that the circuit has just not been rubbered in that much. If you did watch the FP1 stream, the lap times was dropping so much over the course of the session, and that was totally down to the fact that there was loads of track evolution going on. Now overnight the track evolution will have remained. There was no rain overnight, which means that the rubber that was deposited on the track is still going to be on the track, and that means that the drivers will now have a track that's much more representative of what they're going to be seeing in the race tomorrow, what they're going to be seeing for qualifying in a few short hours. So we'll be getting their final race sims, their final quali sims, and another thing that we'll be getting is that a lot of drivers, and you can see here, Antonelli and Russell down there in 18th and 20th, they of course did not have a good F3 Practice 2 session, and they had a lot of setup changes to make overnight. So once they make those setup changes, they're going to be seeing if those work well in Free Practice 3. Now, the sort of downside of, well, not really a downside, the difficulty, I would say, of making the setup changes and evaluating them in Free Practice 3 is that there's such a big change in conditions between Free Practice 3 and qualifying, because it goes from the daytime to the nighttime, which means the temperatures do drop and change quite significantly. It's not going to be too big of an issue today because it's quite cloudy in Singapore, but typically what happens is, let's say we're in Abu Dhabi and, in the middle of the desert, it's super hot during the day. Track temperatures are up at 45, 50 degrees Celsius. And then by the time you get to qualifying in the race at nighttime, it is much colder. Now, because of the difference in width of your tyres, so your rear tyres on a Formula 1 car are much wider than your front tyres, the temperature actually affects the balance of your car and affects the grip levels differently compared to the rear and compared to the front because of the different widths. And essentially, it makes it a little bit difficult to gauge whether your setup changes have worked, because as the temperatures drop down, you actually get more rear stability because your tyres are wider. So what we're probably going to be seeing is the cars that the cars that are going to work well in qualifying, the cars that are going to work well in the race, are actually going to be a little bit oversteery today. So in this practice session specifically, we're going to see drivers kicking out the rear end ever so slightly on the exit corners, and that is a good sign, because as the temperature drops down when we get towards the nighttime of the quali session of the race, then the car is in its perfect sort of optimal condition, and you've got an equal balance of front grip and rear grip. Which is a bit of a headache for the drivers to sort of deal with, bit of a headache for the engineers as well, but they've dealt with this before. We've had quite a few night races around the calendar, and they know how to sort of account for the change in temperature and account for the shift in balance as well. But it's quite a fascinating thing. The temperature drops, and maybe it goes from morning to night, and you go from a car that's oversteering to a car that's understeering. these Formula One cars are very, very sensitive to all the conditions around them. You know, the wind, the temperature, so many different factors. What's been going on with Aston? Aston have been just pretty good, really. They are good at the high downforce tracks, and Singapore is one of the high downforce tracks. They also have got one of the best drivers at these sort of technical, tight, twisty circuits, being Fernando Alonso. And yeah, the combination of the two deliver really well at Monaco. They deliver really well at Imola, and here they are delivering well at Singapore. You know, Aston Martin have had a bit of a track record past couple of races where they look really good in practice and then their pace just disappears entirely during the race. But and during qualifying as well. But I think this weekend will be the one weekend that it does stick. You know, going into the next couple of races in the season, I think Kota might be another tough one for the Astons. But for now, they should have a good weekend here in Singapore. Alonso is really fast in T16, T17. Yeah, I mean, the T16, T17, that's towards the end of the lap. So as long as you don't get too much overheating from your tyres, you know, if you don't get too much wheel spin as well, that helps a lot. And yeah, Alonso just knows how to take that line perfectly, and also is pushing to the limit. You know, we did see, who was it? George Russell. George Russell crashed at turn number 16 and 17 after locking the rears while going into the corner. And yeah, you just got to make sure that you don't do that. Keep your brake balance settings correct for each different corner. Yeah, quite the challenge, but I'm sure Fernando Alonso and most of the drivers are up to it. Okay, I'll take you through a lap of the circuit while we are here waiting, so let me just get that up. Okie dokes. So, here we go then. We have got... yeah, the drivers just starting their flying laps here through turns number 18 and 19. You're going through 5th gear, 6th gear if you can carry a little bit more speed, and then you're just running here on the right hand side. Another thing I'd like to point out here for the race itself, the drivers that do start on the right hand side of the grid do have a much cleaner line, and it will be a lot easier for them to get a good launch compared to the drivers that do start on the left hand side of the grid. And yeah, they'll have to be wary of that. And you know, you can brake here actually on this painted surface because it's actually quite grippy. So you can you can brake all over there, and then take as wide as possible entry as you can. Clip this first apex over the second apex, and again now you're sort of straight lining your braking here, because if you were turning and braking at the same time, it very easily results in a lockup. So straight line your braking, and then ideally, you know, I turned in a little bit late there, but you turn in ever so slightly early, hit the apex, and then your exit also isn't compromised that much either. Then now going into turn number 5, we've got yeah, it's quite a tricky corner because you've got to sort of slingshot your way out of this corner. You can't really take this curb too much because it will throw the car off, and if you throw the car off even by 10-20 centimeters, you've got no margin for error and you will be in the barrier, or you have to back off the throttle. And if you back off the throttle, I mean, that's, you know, if you're coming off the throttle at the start of the straight, I mean, that's game over for your qualifying lap. You might as well abort at that point, depending on how bad it is. And yeah, you just continue on through the rest of the lap here. Hug the inside line to minimize the distance that you travel, and then braking again very sharp all the way on the curb here. If I just rewind a few seconds. Oh, we've got a donation here. Random 50. Thanks for the donation. What is your real name? Love your country. Well, you know, I mean, I choose to keep my real name private. You know, maybe at some point I will let you guys know what it is, but yeah, it took me about a year of thinking to decide to do a face reveal, so it might take a little bit longer than just one donation on a stream to decide if I'm going to put my real name out there in front of, you know, 200,000 people or so. So yeah, next two corners are right-hand corner, well, 90-degree corners, and the main thing here is just to keep in the rhythm, keep in the flow of things, because they are very much one after another, and if you ever so slightly compromise one, then you also will compromise your following corners, because what will happen is, so let's just rewind again. So you're going through this corner here, right? You've got a left-hander here, and let's say you mess up your exit for this corner. Then what happens is you're carrying a lot less speed down this straight, and because you're carrying a lot less speed down this straight, your braking point for the following corner is invalid. You know, you're probably going to brake a little bit too early, so then you've got to on the fly make up your mind on, oh, am I going to have a new braking point? Am I going to brake slightly later? Am I going to brake slightly earlier? And you know, that's sort of creates more and more mistakes, whereas the drivers, they have their reference points. They decide, I'm going to go past this building, and then, or I'm going to go past this lamppost, and that's when I start hitting the brakes, and this is where I start turning in, and it throws all of that off, and you're basically just making up your racing line on the fly. You're making up your reference points on the fly, and yeah, it just goes from bad to worse. So it's best to sort of just keep your rhythm, and don't make a mistake. It sounds pretty easy, just don't make a mistake and your qualifying lap will be good. Okay. And then you continue on to, you got a DRS zone here, in fact, going towards turn number 14. And again, it's quite easy to actually mess up your exit here, because the curve, you can see here, the barrier is very close to you. And then suddenly the barrier just moves away. Like you can see here, the barrier just goes back in towards the wall about 2 meters just on the exit curb itself. So if you judge it and get it perfectly, you can gain a bunch of lap time. But if you misjudge it, then your rear wheels are going to start hitting the barrier, and game over. All right, we should be getting the quali data coming through in about 30 seconds or so, folks. So it just says live timing is not available. That'll be cleared up in about 30 seconds time. So just hang in there, and we'll get the data coming through. All right, then you continue on through the rest of your lap, and you're going towards now just turn number 16 here. 16 and 17. Make sure to not lock your brakes like George Russell did, because the FIA will call a red flag for about 10 minutes, which is a little annoying. And don't hit the barrier on the exit like Liam Lawson did. And then you continue on. And the other thing is, if you are going to touch the barriers with your car at some point, ideally do it with your rear suspension, rear tyres, because your front tyres are much more susceptible to braking, mainly because, they aren't fixed and locked in place. Your rear tyres are locked in place, you can't do anything to them, but your front tyres, they have to be able to turn left and right, and because of that, they're significantly weaker than your rears, and it's much easier to damage them. So, all right. Any weather updates for today? It is totally cloudy indeed. Yeah. Let's guess my name. Oh, maybe my name is Larry. Maybe it's Sebastian Vettel. Who knows? All right, a few other things to talk about are the Haas team. The Haas team are looking pretty strong this weekend, actually, and they're ahead of their main rivals. They're ahead of Kick Sauber. If we look at the Constructors' Championship here, you can see Kick Sauber on 55 points, Haas on 44th, so they're only 11 points behind the Haas team, and they would love to get that 8th position in the championship. So, and if we look at the free practice 2 times, Ocon and Behrman are in 7th and 12th position, Hulkenberg and Bortoleto 14th and 15th. Their race pace isn't looking too strong there for the Sauber team, and they are a car that does operate very well at these high-speed circuits, and the low-speed ones are where they struggle. So this is an opportunity here for Haas to potentially score some solid points and potentially get up into 8th position. Okay. Yeah. I will also get up the qualifying simulation data. I'll get it up properly on the stream for you for qualifying, but currently I've just got it up on my phone here, and it looks to be that the McLarens are the quickest in quali sim pace, but the Red Bulls are less than a tenth behind. The Ferraris are also right about there. Mercedes in the free practice 2 data, might I point out, Mercedes where they finished 18th and 20th, they look to be half a second off the pace. Now, of course, with the setup changes that will come in, they'll be a lot closer. But yesterday Mercedes had really messed up their setup. I don't know exactly how. Maybe they were expecting slightly different conditions, but Mercedes' setup was totally wrong yesterday. Russell was having some severe drivability issues, and Antonelli's pace was nowhere near where it needed to be. Of course, the rookies have never driven here before. You do have to take that into account. The rookies will have not driven in free F2 or F3 at this circuit, which causes problems. So they're also getting used to the circuit for the first time, which will which has quite a steep learning curve, to be honest, because you can't make mistakes and experiment and find things out the hard way. You have to do it. I'll find things out the easy way by just making a mistake, going off into the runoff, and then going back onto the track. No, the hard way is very much make the mistake, find yourself in the barrier, and then sit out and lose even more practice time. So I think all of the team principals will be very sort of clear with their rookies and say, this is not a circuit where you want to start out and out pushing from. You do have to sort of build up to it. You got to go slowly, and then find your rhythm, find your groove, and then you can start pushing. And I think Liam Lawson fell foul to it a little bit. Started pushing just a little bit too early, and the car just wasn't really underneath him. Okay, we will also have the free practice 3 data coming through. Where is it? There we go. All right, and also, folks, this is the big thing. 43 degrees track temperature, as you can see here. The air temperature is slightly higher than it was yesterday, but the track temperature is the big one. So that is about 10, 12 degrees hotter than what we're going to be expecting in quali. In quali, it's going to cool right down to 30 degrees Celsius or 32 or something along those lines, which means that we are essentially going to be getting a very big shift in grip levels between FP3 and quali. So the drivers and the setups are going to look like they're wrong. So the drivers are going to be driving around and they're going to be feeling, oh, this car's oversteering so much. I've got no grip on the rears. And yeah, it's going to feel like that. But by the time they get to quali, it should be okay. And that's sort of the difficulty with having such changeable conditions for a racetrack. Okay. Let's see. Oh, my name is James Bond. Yeah, James Bond. Isn't it the other way around? It's Bond, James Bond. Rather than, he doesn't say my name's James. He says my name's Bond, James Bond. Anyway. What is the meaning of pit? That means they're in the pit lane. They are sat in the garage. So, yeah. I think Bro only reads chat by mistake. No, I do read chat occasionally. It's just a little bit difficult to keep up with all of the chat messages coming through, and it especially gets a lot more busy with it going on when we get a lot more people on the stream as well. But I do my best. But yeah, I think the majority of people really are here for sort of the actual commentary itself, and of course, getting their questions answered is also a big bonus. All right. Be sure to hit the like button, folks. Be sure to subscribe. Would very much be appreciated. And yeah, if we can make our way towards 199k subs for today, for during the FP3 and the quali streams, then I think would be fantastically on track for 200k subs for the race. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Where is the pit lane entry / exit? I shall show you that on the circuit. Actually, Singapore's actually one of the slightly harder tracks to do the pit lane exit. So I'll show you the pit lane entry. Actually, it's just here on the left hand side. So you can see here there's just this, there's this curb here, which is the normal racing line, but then to the left-hand side of the curb, there's also a little piece of track. That is the pit lane entry, so the drivers will be driving there on the left-hand side, going into the pits. And then for the pit lane exit, what it is you can see here again, very similar to the entry, there is a curb, and then to the left-hand side of the curb, there's also a piece of tarmac where the drivers will drive out from. So there you go, just on the left-hand side, that's where the drivers exit, and they exit directly into the racing line here. So they're on the left-hand side there, and they go immediately onto the inside line of this corner. So it makes for a very exciting sort of undercut, overcut strategy battle, because yeah, the drivers not only will be right next to each other on the circuit, they'll literally be going into the same corner, probably at the same time, one of them on the inside, and also the driver that's on the inside will be the driver that's just come out of the pits on a fresh set of cold tyres, which makes it all the more tricky and much more likely for the driver coming out of the pits to lock up and go crash into the driver on the outside. So it'll be interesting, yeah. Also, another thing, the pit lane speed limit has gone up, actually. So the pit lane speed limit was previously 60 kilometers per hour, but now they've increased it from 60 kilometers per hour to 80 kilometers per hour, which means that the drivers will take 18 seconds to go through the pit lane rather than 24. So it saves about 6 seconds worth of time during a pit stop, and yeah, it really speeds things up. When is FP3 starting, folks? There is a timer on screen, over here. So be sure to read that. Yeah. All right. We see the full drive through. I will do a full drive through a little bit later on. I've just done one a few moments ago. Yeah. Okay then. So we will be getting drivers out on the track in about 4 minutes time, and yeah, the next weekend, by the way, folks, is in 2 weekends. The next race weekend is in 2 weekends' time, and it is at COTA, the Circuit of Americas. We're going to have a sprint race there, which is going to be rather exciting. More points on offer for the championship, which will be quite the intriguing battle. Also, I'd like to ask, how many of you folks do think that Max Verstappen is in with a real shot of winning the championship, like a real shot that he could actually get first position? Because if we look at the Drivers' Championship right now, you can see Max is on 255 points, Piastri is on 324. That's a points gap of nearly 75 points or 70 points or so, and we are on round number 18 of 24, so that is 7 races left of the season. Of course, there are 2 or even 3 sprint races, I think, left of the season, but I don't know. I think, if I was asked this question, I would it would depend on if Max can get pole and also win at this circuit, because what that would mean is that Red Bull have finally properly understood their car, because the Red Bull, even in 2023, the year where they nearly won every single race in the season, apart from Singapore, obviously, that was the one track that they were absolutely terrible at. And for whatever reason, they couldn't get the setup right. They couldn't get the car switched on. Max couldn't drive it properly. I don't know what it was, but they couldn't do it in 23. They also couldn't do it in 24. And if they can put together a car that beats the McLarens today, then Red Bull, that's a surefire sign that Red Bull have understood the car. And if that means that they can understand the car and it works well at the high downforce tracks like Singapore, it works well at the low downforce tracks like Baku, like Monza, then that means for every single race till the end of the season, they will most likely be able to deliver right at the top of the field. And the McLarens will be the team that will sort of be, maybe level pegging, maybe slightly behind, maybe slightly ahead. But yeah, if Max Verstappen can get pole today, and if he can go on to win, if he ends up down in 5th position or so, I think that would be safe to say that, oh yes, the Red Bull car is good at the high downforce, the high speed tracks, and are bad at the low speed tracks, and that's it. And then the championship fight is really sort of over. It's between Norris and Piastri, because we still do have quite a few low speed circuits left on the calendar, and a lot of medium speed stuff as well, where the Red Bull will not be able to compete with the McLaren. So who knows? Oh, is it 69 points? Oh, brilliant. 69 points then between between Piastri and Norris. That's very nice. And just looking between, Piastri and Verstappen, not Piastri and Norris, the points gap is 25 points, which is the difference between a DNF and a race win, really. So yeah, we'll have to see how it goes. Of course, we'll see, will Piastri or will Norris have a DNF till the end of the season? And is that going to happen? I don't know, because Piastri's, of course, had his 1 DNF. Norris has had 2, one in Canada, one in Zandvoort. So yeah, who knows? Maybe Piastri gets engine issues. Maybe Norris gets more unlucky and he gets another engine problem. Who knows what will happen? What else have we got going on? Checo won at Singapore in 2022. Okay. Yeah, but I guess sort of the 2022 car compared to this year's car is very different. Whereas I think Red Bull did have quite a big sort of design shift between 22 and 23, and then after they sort of won pretty much every race in 23, they were like, oh yeah, this is a good design. We're only going to change minor little things going into 24 and 25. So, yeah. Where did the Mercedes pace go? I am not sure, really. I'm not sure where the Mercedes pace has gone. They seem to have got the setup wrong yesterday, and they will have made some changes overnight to sort of rectify that problem, and we'll just sort of see how it goes. I also do have to point out that George Russell, he did crash out and then was not able to take part in the rest of the session, so because of that, he didn't set, a representative time on a fresh set of softs like everyone else did, so, maybe if he did, he would have been up there in 4th or 5th position. It is ORF today. Oh no, it's Service TV today, folks. If you want to watch Formula One today, it's Service TV to watch the footage. So be sure to tune in to that one. All right, we are getting underway then here in the streets of Singapore at the Marina Bay Street Circuit. We have got cars out onto the track. Brilliant. Yeah, it looks like medium tyres for quite a few cars, actually. We've got Bearman, Ocon, Sonoda out on mediums, and then we'll be getting the rest of the drivers coming out very soon as well. I see the quali stream on SRF, but no FP3. Yeah, SRF only does quali in the race. It doesn't do the free practice sessions. Oh, I should also get rid of this timer as well. All right. There we go, so getting good drivers out onto the track here. Medium tyres to start it out, because we did see a lot of hard tyre running actually in Free Practice 1, and still also not a lot of medium tyre running in Free Practice 2 either. So the team's looking to see if the hard tyres are viable to use in the race. Maybe they're just going to do medium and hard for the race. Maybe it'll be a two-stop with medium, hard, depending on the tyre wear situation. Yeah. Any opinion on weather affecting quali? Unfortunately not today, folks. Unfortunately not today. The weather is looking quite dry, to be honest, in Singapore today. And tomorrow it does look like it's going to be raining at night time, which is exactly when the race is going to happen. So that is good news. But of course, we'll check the forecast tomorrow and we'll see what it says. But for today, it looks to be reasonably dry for the duration of Free Practice 3 and qualifying. Jokes. Old Monroe, hello everyone. Summer is around the corner here. Cheers for cheering for Oscar, of course. Yeah, Oscar. Well, we'll be looking to bounce back, won't he? After that terrible lap one, shall we say, just in Baku. He didn't really do much else, did he? But it also wasn't a perfect weekend, to be honest, for Oscar. He was struggling really in Monaco as well. Monaco and Baku both had not his ideal weekends. I remember at the end of the practice sessions in Monaco, he had said, "Oh, this was one of my worst weekends ever. I've hit more walls this weekend than I have in my entire career." So, maybe street circuits aren't Oscar Piastri's forte. Maybe he was just having a bad weekend, and it just happened to be Monaco and Baku as a coincidence. But yeah. He didn't do too well in Monaco, at least in the practice sessions, managed to hold it together for quali in the race, and we'll see how he does in Singapore. Did it rain yesterday? No, it did not rain yesterday, so it will be... Yeah, it'll be Trek Evolution. Well, continuing on, it's not going to be the most major Trek Evolution that we have seen in the world. Okay. What else have we got going on then? The rest of the drivers making their way out on the pits. Looks like everyone's coming out on the medium tyres, actually. Also, another thing to point out here, folks, is that the top speeds that we were seeing yesterday going through the speed traps, just the one that's going down the start-finish straight, we were seeing approximately 300 kilometers per hour as the highest top speed. We haven't seen anything higher than 300 Ks, and the majority of the drivers are all within that sort of range, 300 Ks to about 290, and yeah, it looks reasonable for everyone. Nobody's running significantly higher downforce, nobody's running significantly less downforce, and pretty standard stuff here in Singapore. We might see something interesting in quali, and maybe Max will go for a slightly lower downforce setup again, because the way it sort of works is, when we talk about race setups and qualifying setups, in the race, of course, the big thing is tyre management, being able to keep those tyre temperatures down, and that significantly helps you out in terms of your overall race time. But in qualifying, tyre management, it goes out the window. You're only doing one lap. So
at that time, it's actually better to run slightly lower downforce so you're quicker down the straights, and then use as much of your tires up as possible. So your tires do have a lot of grip, but if you go and use 100% of the grip that the tires have to offer, then you start overheating them, which is of course a big no-no for the race. But in qualifying, you can take that risk, you can take that gamble. So the qualifying setups, all of them run ever so slightly less downforce than the race setups. You use every ounce of grip that the tires have available to you, and you overheat them by the end of your quali lap, but it doesn't matter, you're not using those tires ever again, and you end up on pole. That's sort of the strategy there. So you're quicker down the straights, and you're the same speed through the corners because you're using every bit of grip that your tires have got. And yeah, during the race, of course, you do struggle with the tyre wear, but if you can manage the tyres properly, if you're in clean air, for example, a lot of teams do take this gamble. They'll say, oh, we'll go for a low downforce setup for qualifying, and we'll get pole position, and because we'll be on pole, we'll be at the front for the race, and we're not going to have any dirty air ahead of us, so tyre wear shouldn't be too much of a problem. So that's another way to think about it. You compromise your race strategy if you're in dirty air, but if you manage to stick it on pole position, then your race strategy would be absolutely golden. So, high risk, high reward. Because if you do get stuck with a low downforce qualifying setup and you're also in dirty air in the race, then it's bad news for you. Bad news, big problems, and that's sort of just how it goes, really. So we'll see what the teams do, and we'll see what the top speeds are looking like. But I've only really seen 300 k's per hour. Nobody's really gone higher than that, and nobody's even been trying to get a tow as well. We do have quite a lot of long straights here, but not many tows have been given out because it's really not all that beneficial because the straights just aren't all that long. Okay, what do the coloured lines mean on the track? So if you see the green dash sections, they are the DRS zones here. So you got DRS down the main straight, down the back straight. Between turn number 13 and 16, you've got DRS as well. And then the different colours here, the red is just sector number 1, the blue is sector number 2, and the yellow is sector number 3. It just separates the different sectors out. So yeah, it's a little bit more clear which part of the lap is in which sector, sort of thing. Yeah. Because, you can sort of see here that Sector 3 is very much sort of medium speed / high speed, so it's just straight, because you've just got a medium speed corner here, a long straight, 2 medium speed corners, a high speed corner, and then another long straight. Whereas Sector 2 is much, much more technical. You've got medium speed, slow speed. So, if you can see one driver that's really good in Sector 3, then that sort of indicates that they're not overheating their tires during Sector 2. They've also got a little bit more confidence through the medium speed corners. If you see someone going purple in the middle sector, then you know that their car is really good in the slow speed stuff, and they're going all the way up to the barriers when they're taking their entries and exits. So yeah, so it gives you that extra little pieces of information here and there. Okay. What does that line through Alonso's tyres mean? So essentially what this means is if you've got a slash through your tyres, so Bortoletto's got a slash through his tyres, Colapinto's got a slash through his tyres, what that means is when the drivers came out of the pits, those tyres were not fresh sets. So you can see here when Norris or Piastri came out of the pits on these tyres, they were fresh tyres. They had done 0 laps on them before. But Bortoletto and Colapinto, they had done maybe 1 lap on them before. Maybe they did that in FP2, maybe they did that in FP1, but that just means a used set of tires, and it's useful during the race. Sometimes the tire, the wear on the tire, the number of laps that it's been used for doesn't exactly add up, and that's sort of indicated by the slash. Okay, but we've got a McLaren 1-2 so far, and they're about 4 tenths ahead of Tsunoda, but Verstappen's still yet to come out of the pits. Antonelli and Russell also still in the pits. I don't know why they're still in the pits, really, because they were one of the teams that were having the biggest issues yesterday, so they should be one of the first teams out trying to figure out if their issues have been resolved or not. Yeah. Explain the different colours. The different colours, blue means the drivers are coming in or out of the pit lane. So you can see here, Hadjar's just gone into the pit, so he's got blue for driving in the pit lane at the end there. We've got a couple of drivers that have just come out the pits. Bortoletto's come out the pits, so that's blue to signify he's just come out the pits. Yellow is slower than your personal best. Purple is fastest out of all of the drivers. So Sainz on these fresh set of soft tyres has just gone purple in the first sector. He's fastest out of anyone, and green is a personal best. So yeah, those are all the different colours, and the colours on the track map really don't mean anything. They're just different colours to sort of indicate the 3 different sectors. Air temperature is up at 31 degrees Celsius. We've got track temperature at 42 degrees Celsius. So that is quite the big difference from yesterday, which also is going to modify the grip levels, modify the balance of the car, and pose a bit of a problem for the drivers and the engineers, but they should be able to work this one out. They've done it many times before. Okay. Leclerc's out onto the track as well, good to see. So just Verstappen, Antonelli and Russell yet to make their way out onto the circuit for their first lap. Carlos Sainz across the line, a 1:31.9, that is half a second up on Lando Norris's time. And, there's about a 4-5 of a second difference between the soft and the medium, so the Williams are looking good so far. And last year's pole time was a 1:29.5, so they're still around 2.5, 3 seconds off or so. So still much more improvements left to go for for everyone, really, before they get down to last year's pole time. Of course, last year's pole time was set at night time, which helps significantly because the temperatures are lower, and also the grip levels are, it's not the grip levels are different, it's just that drivers can push for much harder. Piastri purple in the middle sector by quite a significant chunk, actually, a 10th quicker than Sainz, 3/10 quicker than Lawson, so pretty good there from Oscar Piastri, and we'll see what he can do. Actually, no, he dives into the pits. Oh, McLaren are sandbagging, are they? Interesting. Let's have a look at the theoretical best lap times there. If Piastri had set a theoretical best lap time... No, it's really not. His final sector wasn't amazing on his previous lap, and I think he must have made a mistake again in the final sector because he's aborted his lap. Folks, the qualifying time is just there at the top of the screen, top right of the screen. That indicates when quali is getting underway. Charles Leclerc up into 9th position. Good to see there from him. Bortoletto just puts himself up into 9th and pushes Charles Leclerc back down into 10th position. Lando Norris purple in the first sector, 27.0. He's about 3/10 clear of Sainz in the first sector, 5/10 clear of his teammate in the first sector. So a significant amount of pace there from Norris, and he's just, he looks like he's starting to get into the rhythm of things. Some drivers like to start much earlier than others. Max Verstappen very frequently can just go out onto the circuit and immediately set a good quali lap. Sometimes it takes a few other drivers a little bit more time to build up to maximum attack. Yeah, Williams is the only one on soft tyres, so that's why they are a 1-2. But I don't think that's going to last particularly long, though, because Norris is pushing quite hard, unless he's also going to come into the pits and it's just a McLaren strategy to abort at the end of the lap. Don't think it is, because Norris is pushing nice and hard through the final 2 corners, and he does go up into first position by nearly an entire second. Oh my goodness me. The McLarens have got a lot of pace, and those are on used medium tyres as well. Used mediums, and he goes a second clear of the Williams. Wow. McLaren's still in the pit saving. Max is still in the pit saving tyres. Yeah, that's another thing. Maybe Max wants to use a set of medium tyres during the race, so he's not going to be. So he doesn't want to go out and practice on them and wear them out too much. So maybe that's Max's strategy. Who knows? Oh, you got an advert. Apologies there, folks. Let me just block the adverts there. I do my best to keep these blocked, but as you all really know already, I'm sure many of you watch YouTube apart from my streams, and YouTube really does love its adverts. So I do my best here to block them and stop them from appearing, but sometimes I'm paying attention to something else and I just miss it. So I do apologise. Alright, Antonelli is also out on a fresh set of softs, so we'll see how that goes for him, and hopefully the tweak setup that they've done overnight will help them out. Alright. Hi, just joined. What happened to Albano? The Williams are just one of the few teams out on soft tyres, so that's why he's up there in 4th position. Isaac Hadjar as well, great lap there on the mediums. He's still a second off the McLarens, but he's splits the 2 Williams drivers. And Isaac Hadjar's got to be careful, man, because if he carries on performing at this level, he's just going to end up getting demoted. And that is not a good idea, is it? He's going to end up getting demoted to the Red Bull team. Alright, Russell's out the pits. Verstappen is still sitting in the pit lane. Okie dokes. Folks, be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. Goes a long way to helping out the channel. And hopefully we can keep this going. Yeah. We've hit, I think we've gained about 100 or so subscribers so far. It'd be lovely to hit 1,000, 198.5 thousand. Probably another. Oh, yellow flag. What's this? Liam Lawson. Oh, no, 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 not again. Please, Liam Lawson, carry on. Keep it going. Double yellows at turn number 6, 7, and 8. And red flag deployed. Liam Lawson has done it again, ladies and gentlemen. He's brought out the red flag. He did it yesterday. And we are 15 minutes into the qualifying, into free practice 3. And he has done it again. Oh no. Alright, medical car has been deployed actually. That looks... What's the medical car being deployed for? Must have been a severe crash at turn number 7 and 8, but I mean there's really not... The drivers aren't carrying too much speed at turn number 7 and 8. I'll just get the onboard here. I don't know why the medical car's deployed, but I'm sure Liam Lawson is okay. Yeah, seems like a pretty typical crash around Singapore. You damage the right-hand side of... He's damaged the right side of his car. He says he's okay. And his front wing is just, well, all over the circuit. Yeah, what is... Oh, Liam Lawson, man. Okay, I'll get the onboard up. So this is turn number 5, this is turn number 6, there's just a little kink in the road, then we've got turn number 7 over here. Yeah, so I think what's happened is that he's gone over the barrier, gone over the curb, sorry, it bounced over the curb and then onto spun out over the curb, that's what it was. So he's gone over this curb, lost rear grip, and then corrected the slide, but then went directly into the barrier. So that was the problem with Liam Lawson. Going over this curb here on the exit of turn number 7, he has... Yeah, just kicked out the rear end at this point, corrected the snap, but then went into the barriers there on the right-hand side and, yeah, crashed. So very, very unfortunate for him. And... You know, in these sort of scenarios, what it sometimes is a little bit more ideal, even though it may be counterintuitive, you know, as a racing driver, if you feel your car oversteering and sliding out from underneath you, your first instinct is, all right, I'll correct the snap, I'll fix it. But in these sort of tight situations here, if Liam Lawson, let's say he'd spun out in this scenario here, he'd spun out, done a 180, done a 360, it's quite likely that he would have been able to keep the car sort of in the middle of the road, avoided any sort of barriers. But when he went and did this correction, then the car's going to slide out from underneath him and he went straight into the barriers. Of course, you know, he didn't perfectly correct the car as well. He overcorrected and then the car went directly into the barrier. But... yeah, it's a tough one really, in such tight circumstances to make a decision. All right. Yeah. So red flag deployed because of Liam Lawson. What did he say? What did he say? I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to win races or something. Yeah, not ideal there for any of the Kiwis watching, but yeah, Liam Lawson is not having a great weekend around here. Why can I watch F1 with a VPN? You can watch it using Servers TV. So what you do is you connect to an Austrian VPN server, so in Vienna, I think, and then you search up Servers TV Formula 1 on Google, and it'll just be the first thing that comes up. Liam Lawson is summoning his inner Kvyat. Yeah, Kvyat being, you know, he came like a torpedo. There's quite the interesting set of radios there from Seb Vettel actually about Danny Kvyat. All right. 41 minutes remain of this session. Of course, the timer will carry on ticking down, even though we do have a red flag, because, you know, those are just the rules of the FIA. They can't delay stuff too much because other things do have to go on in between the sessions. Not gonna lie, Lawson should have done that tomorrow. Yeah, maybe he should have done it tomorrow and pulled off the Flavio Briatore strategy, the 2008 Singapore special. That might work. Okay. Has anyone got any recommendations for a VPN? Yeah, there is Surfshark VPN there's a link in the description. They sponsor the channel, and it helps out significantly if you guys do use the link in the description to get a VPN. It's about $2 a month, so reasonably cheap, and you don't have to pay for Service TV. The only thing you have to pay for is Surfshark VPN. I do have to point out Service TV does do its commentary in German, so you can watch the footage, see what's going on the track, but you do have to listen to my commentary rather than the German commentary, unless obviously you understand German, which in that case, I think that works quite nicely. Can you talk about the 2008 incident? Sure, why not? We've got nothing else to go on, so we'll continue on with the F1 Gamer podcast. And yeah, so what happened in 2008 was Fernando Alonso's teammate crashed into the barriers. So, well, essentially what happened was Fernando Alonso got called in for a really early pit stop, and then in the really early pit stop, he also refueled his car to maximum fuel, so he could go right till the end of the race. That was sort of the idea for him, and then Fernando Alonso's teammate, what he did was he just crashed into the barriers and brought out the safety car. And because Alonso had just come into the pits slightly earlier, he would come out in the lead of the race, and he would be the first one behind the safety car after everyone else comes into the pits. So yeah, Alonso would just be in the lead, and he'd be in first place, and all of the other drivers behind him would be stuck behind him. And because it's Singapore and it was tough to overtake, and in 2008 we didn't even have DRS back then. Yeah, it was very, very difficult to overtake. Fernando Alonso also is very good at defending, as we know, and defended and then went on to win the race. It was pretty easy. It was very much like the F1 movie, Plan C for Chaos, pretty much. That's pretty much basically what happened in every single race in the F1 movie. It'd be like, oh yeah, Sonny Hayes is going to go crash into the DRS billboard to bring out the safety car to help out his teammate. Like, it's obviously not how it happens in real life, apart from that one time, and they got handed quite a big fine for it, actually. But yeah, that is what happened back in 2008 for anyone that doesn't know. If we go back 1 year earlier, then I actually mentioned this during I think the FP1 stream, or maybe the FP2 stream, but there weren't that many people watching. And, if you think about it really hard and use your 2007 elite wheel knowledge of Formula One, then Lewis Hamilton actually did win his first ever race in a Ferrari in 2007. And, you've got probably about a minute or so to explain it yourselves in the chat, and then I'll do my own explanation of why Lewis Hamilton won his first ever Formula One race, not in a McLaren, but in a Ferrari back in 2007. You gotta have some pretty elite knowledge of Formula One to work that one out. Okay. People called Monaco 2025 Crashgate 2.0 with what Williams done. Yeah, I mean, we've had quite the interesting series of things like that in Monaco, haven't we? We've had Sergio Perez apparently randomly just going 100% throttle through a slow speed corner, spinning out, and then, by accident also getting pole position in Monaco. We've had Schumacher just accidentally stalling at the end of the Monaco lap to make sure that no one else behind him could finish their quali lap. We've had, I think, Nico Rosberg locking up and going off in towards turn number 4 at Monaco to bring out the yellow flag so no one else can get pole position. We've had quite the many occurrences of that sort of stuff, but I think this one was probably the most sort of planned out thing. I think, when Schumacher went out and, by accident stalled his car in Monaco, he did that on purpose, and it was Schumacher's own decision. No one from the team told him to do that, and it also benefited no one else on the team. It just benefited himself. And the same thing with Nico Rosberg, same thing with Sergio Perez. Whereas I think it becomes a much bigger thing when you have multiple people involved, multiple team members, and then not the person that's crashing isn't the person that's benefiting. And that's when you can make a really big case for, this is cheating, this is, against the rules and stuff like that. But yes, so to answer, for anyone that didn't know, in 2007, what happened was that we had a big Spygate scandal where the Ferrari internal documents were leaked to the McLaren team, and McLaren actually used them to design their car. So designed their 2007 car. So when Lewis Hamilton, had his rookie season in 2007, got a few pole positions, got a few race wins, he was driving a McLaren, but in reality, they had basically just stolen a lot of the design documents from Ferrari, and in essence, he was sort of driving a Ferrari if you think about it hard enough. Yeah. Okay. Do you know Santander Gate? I actually don't know what Santander Gate is. Do let me know though. Maybe I'll just Google it afterwards because I think it's going to take a. Oh yeah, and it was $100 million fine or something along those lines. It was quite the big fine. They never actually paid the full $100 million. I think they paid about 33 million, and then the FIA were like, okay, this is fine, don't need to worry. We get that you've paid your price for it. So. But 100 million was the biggest ever sports fine. I think maybe even to date. I think that's the biggest fine that we've had in the world of sports ever. Okay. Oh, it looks like we've got some running again, folks. So that is good news, and we're getting cars back out onto the circuit. But we'll continue on with the podcast for a little bit longer. If you've got any other things that we should talk about, then do let me know in the chat. Santander is Alonso's sponsor. Weird. Yeah, Santander is I'm pretty sure Santander's a Spanish bank. Like they are. Like their headquarters are in Spain and everything. So it would make sense that they sponsor, a Spanish driver. It was Ferrari sabotaging Kimi Raikkonen's career to get Fernando Alonso into Ferrari in 2010 alongside Felipe Massa. Oh, interesting. I didn't know that actually. Maybe I'll have a little bit of a look into it later on. Okay. 30 minutes remain of the session. Max Verstappen finally makes his way out onto the circuit. Now halfway through free practice 3, he makes his way out onto the track. And currently we have got Norris top of the times, Carlos Sainz second, Oliver Behrman third, and Isaac Hadjar in fourth, Albon in fifth. Quite the interesting top 5, shall we say. How to watch for the visuals? What you can do is you can get Surfshark VPN using the link in the description, and then you connect to a Austrian VPN server. And once you've done that, you go onto Google and you search Service TV, FP3 or Service TV Formula 1 or whatever, and you can watch the Formula 1 footage. So yeah, that's how you do it. Okay. And yeah, Max is out on a set of medium tyres, so that'll be interesting to see. But yes, as someone mentioned earlier, what are the slashes for? As you can see, everyone came into the pits on the medium tyres that they were driving on. Now they've come back out of the pits, and because they were used beforehand, everyone's tyres have got a slash through them now to sort of indicate that these aren't fresh tyres, they were used beforehand. Yeah. $18 a month for a VPN. I think if you get the 2-year plan or whatever, it ends up being $2 or €2 a month or something along those lines. But yeah, by all means, you don't have to use Surfshark VPN. It does help out the channel, but of course, if you find something cheaper, then feel free to use that as well. It's your hard-earned cash after all. How hasn't Aston set a time yet? Aston have just been doing in-laps and out-laps, and I'm not exactly sure what they've been doing, to be honest. They've been in the pits for quite a while, and yeah. Thoughts on Ferrari's weekend as a whole? Well, Ferrari hasn't been standing out too much, really. They in their yellow flag again. What's that? Carlos Sainz turn 14. That's a corner you can very easily crash into the barriers at. No way we get another red flag. No way. Come on. Izzy managed to keep it going. Has Carlos Sainz at turn number 14? Oh no, there's a double yellow. Oh no. Are we gonna get another red flag? It's been 3 minutes? It has just been 3 minutes, hasn't it? Oh, Carlos Sainz managed to keep it going. Phew. Okay. There we go. I was about to say, if we had another 3 minutes and we got a red flag, I'd be quite annoyed. But no, Carlos Sainz went off into the escape road and has just reversed out onto the circuit. So it's all right there from Sainz. All right, so and Sainz was on a pretty good lap as well. He was purple through the first sector, but unfortunately, those soft tires a little bit too used up, and made a mistake going into turn 14. Carrying quite a bit of speed into that corner. Actually, I think you're up in 7th, maybe even 8th gear, depending on how early you open your DRS and stuff like that. But yeah, he locked up the tires as he went into the corner and bailed out of it early. So it's all right. Yeah, things are going well. Colapinto up there in 9th position as well, looking good, looking good. Max Verstappen on a flying lap up into 4th position, very nicely done. He's also quickest through the speed traps, 302 kilometers per hour. It's not a big difference, of course. Yesterday we were seeing 300, now it's 302, but yeah. Also, Sonoda's come over the radio saying the drive system is horrible. It's going to drown. I don't know exactly what he's referring to. The drive system, I mean, maybe that's the gearbox shifting, but I don't know how the gearbox is going to drown. I mean, it must be the water. That's what's causing the gearbox to drown, but I don't know what part of the car is exactly drowning right there. But Tsunoda complaining about some sort of issues with his car, so maybe he's making his way back to the pits soon. But yeah, Verstappen up into 4th position. He's about half a second off the pace. Still got some more lap time to improve. Question, is it compulsory for all the drivers to go out and practice? No, it is not. I also don't appreciate, it's also nice if you have a... It's also nice if you only type the message once. I will do my best to reply, or someone in chat will reply as well. The drink system. Okay. So they must have. It was not the drive system. It was the drink system, and then Tsunoda himself was going to drown. So yeah, it must be the water there, folks. Must be the water. Yeah, I got a little bit confused because I think it said drive, or maybe I just read it wrong. But yeah, it makes sense if it was the drink system. Yeah, it's quite unfortunate really for the drivers. They only have, I think, about one bottle's worth 750 ml of water to drink throughout the race, and they're losing about 4 kilograms worth of body weight through sweating around the Singapore Grand Prix. So they're only gaining about a quarter of that back from the drinks bottle. I think for 2026 they are actually implementing a bigger drinks bottle and also having a cooling system built in for the drivers, so they aren't overheating, because that is a problem at circuits like Singapore, circuits like Qatar. In fact, there's a heat hazard sort of announced by the FIA that it could be potentially dangerous for the drivers to be racing, and they would advise that the drivers use a cooling package. Now, of course, the cooling package does add around 2 kilograms of weight to the car, which no driver wants to have, but it could also just make it a lot easier for the drivers to focus on doing their quali laps, because the more hot, sweaty, bothered you are, I'm sure many of you have experienced it. If you're too hot, if you're too thirsty, if you're, sweating all the time, your mental condition is not going to be as ideal as if you're sitting in an air-conditioned room and everything's perfect. So maybe it's worth it. The extra 2 kilograms of weight for the driver's performance, the driver's ability to push that little bit harder, the driver's ability to manage their tires ever so slightly better. So yeah, we'll see if the drivers do end up using it. And yeah, it's but I think in next year, in 2026, it will be mandated. So the FIA will just say, if it's over a certain temperature, the FIA will say everyone has to use it no matter what, no questions asked. So then at that point, it just becomes fair because everyone has the extra 2 kilograms. Okay. So yeah, here we go then. 27 minutes remain of the session. If they don't use the cooling vest, then they have to take an extra 2 kilograms of ballast. Oh, is that what the rule is? Okay, maybe then a lot of the drivers will take it, because you might as well, take the extra sort of benefit for the drivers. Yeah. The drivers say it's quite uncomfortable. Yeah, I mean, maybe it is. Of course, this is sort of in its first stage. This is the first design that they've created. I think over the next few years, they will work out a slightly better design to make it a bit more comfortable, because you have to understand that the drivers, they've got their race suit on, and then maybe the cooling vest is underneath their race suit, and the cooling vest is made up of a series of tubes that go around the whole vest and cool the drivers down. So you've got these tubes just stuck to your body, and and then you've got your race suit on top of that, and then you've got about 6 seatbelt harnesses tying you down to the car. So I can imagine how that gets uncomfortable, but I think also the drivers would be slightly more uncomfortable, if they're on the verge of fainting, if they're on the verge of not being able to think properly. So it's, certain races it might be helpful, certain races it might be a bit of a pain. Thank you for the donation, Mal. What's happening to Charles's car? I don't really know. He is down in 18th position. His pace hasn't been too strong, but maybe he's also running heavier fuel loads. He's doing a 1:35 lap time. He's done 8 laps so far on these tyres, and he's doing a long run by the looks of it, actually. Yeah, he's just done a 1:35 on the previous lap. Now he's down to a 1:34.9. So yeah, I think Charles Leclerc is just doing long runs. He'll do his short runs in the final 15 minutes or so. So not too much to worry about there. Charles will be back up there at the top at some point, sooner rather than later. Antonelli, purple in the middle sector. Looks like he's got some solid pace there. And the Mercedes setup changes are working a little bit better for Antonelli than they are for Russell. Russell in 7th position, still is 6/10 off the pace. Max also on a flying lap now. We'll see what he can do. But Antonelli is looking very solid indeed. Comes through turn number 18 and 19 now. Across the line does come Kimi Antonelli. First position, very nicely done. Used set of soft tyres, but he is quarter of a second up on Lando Norris. All right. Here we go then. Yeah, Ferrari is doing a race simulation. They're probably simulating the final stint by the looks of it. The final stint on the medium tyres. They may be thinking about going on the hard tyres at the start and the medium tyres towards the end. But yeah, with the lap times around the 1:34 mark, I suspect that will be towards the end of your race stint. All right. Yeah. Alonso's down in dead last. Don't know what's going on there, but he's also doing race pace sims. You can see there are 1:38 there from Alonso, so looks like he's doing full fuel load sims. He's looking at what the medium tires will be like on the first into the race, and then you've got Leclerc doing the opposite, seeing what the medium tires will be doing at the last into the race. An extra 100 kilograms of fuel will drop your pace back by an extra 5 or 6 seconds. So that's really what explains it. What do blue sectors mean? Blue sectors means the drivers are coming in or out of the pit lane. So Ocon has just come out of the pits, so that's why he's got blue mini sectors to his name. And Alonso's just gone into the pits, so that's why he's got blue mini sectors in Sector 3. Like and subscribe, folks. Like and subscribe. That would be very much appreciated. Track temperature is going down ever so slightly. It started out at 43 degrees. It's down to 40 now. And, in 2 hours and 53 minutes time, when qualifying begins, it will be down at rock bottom. Well, not rock bottom. It'll be at 30 degrees or so, 10 degrees lower than this, which should really help the lap time situation because we're still around 1.2 seconds off last year's pole time, which is quite the big difference, actually. Okay. 22 minutes remain, folks. Yeah. Have you got any questions in the chat? Be sure to let me know. I'll do my best to answer all of them. I also have also my Instagram is f1_gamer_5. So if you've got any feedback, any ideas, then be sure to let me know. I think the Life of Tony has just sent me a DM. And yeah, thanks for the feedback. I will follow through with that. But yeah, feel free to follow me. Sometimes I might even post a behind the scenes. I think I've posted that once before, but might as well post it again. So go ahead and follow f1_gamer_5 if you're interested. Yeah. Can someone tell me what lap it is? It's not the race, folks. It is not the race. So all the drivers are just practicing about, and they can do as many laps as they want. They can do as few laps, as many laps. It's up to them, and it's up to the teams. What time is quali? Quali is in 2 hours and 51 minutes, as it says there at the top right of the screen. Yeah, ever so slightly to the left. There we go. You post memes as well? Yeah, I think I've got some. I think I'd say the memes are pretty good. I certainly find them funny, and obviously because I find them funny, that's why I've posted them. So go ahead and have a look at the memes. I think they're one of a kind. Oh, probably not one of a kind. There are probably quite a few memes like that around the internet, but I quite like them. Okay, Alonso's in the pits now. It looks like he's going to be taking some of that fuel out of the car. The teams are going to be dropping him down to about qualifying fuel load for the final 20 minutes, probably sending him out on a set of soft tyres. Also, Williams are doing they're doing a race pace run here on soft tyres. You can see here lap times of 1:34 or so. So Williams, by the looks of it, they are trying to see what the soft tires would be like in race conditions. Would it be viable to use them? Would it be feasible? Because we here at Singapore, I think we've had safety cars pretty much every single race apart from last year, maybe. We've had very frequent safety cars, to say the least, here at Singapore, which means that, of course, the chances of maybe using the soft tires for your final stint of the race when the safety car comes out is a real possibility. So the teams want to know how valuable the soft tires are. Are they a usable tire in the race, or are they just going to overheat straight away? Okay. Oh, yellow flag. What's that for? Alex Albon turned 16, 17. He was doing a race pace run. Surely he shouldn't have been pushing that hard if he's doing a race pace run. And no, he's all right. He manages to keep going. But yeah, double yellow momentarily at turn 16 and 17 for Alex Albon. Were there any other questions in the chat? What happened to Lawson? Lawson crashed on turns number 7. He got oversteer when he drove over the curb, corrected the oversteer, but corrected it too much and went off into a barrier. So unfortunate there for Liam Lawson. Okay. What else have we got going on? Russell up into 4th position. So it looks like Mercedes are back then. Their pace is looking pretty solid. And whatever setup issues they were having yesterday, they've been resolved. Antonelli, in fact, getting quite a few purple mini sectors there in sector number 1. So here he comes now through turns number 6 and across the first sector line. And there he goes. First position, a 26.763. Was Lawson's crash serious? No, it wasn't all that big, to be honest. He did damage, again, the right-hand side of his car like he did yesterday, so the mechanics are going to have to repair that one again, sort of deja vu, but he should be fine to get the car repaired in time for quali. The mechanics are just going to have to skip lunch. Okay. Kimi is cooking, indeed he is. His middle sector, not so amazing by the looks of it. Only 1 purple mini sector, yeah. In fact, he's 4 seconds off the pace. Looks like he's backed out of it in the middle sector because, yeah, he made a mistake. Why is Charles not pushing the car to the limit? Because Charles was doing a race pace run. You can see that Alonso was doing a race pace run. I think Gasly also was as well. So a lot of the drivers were doing race pace simulations, and they're not going to be going 100% attack because that's not what they do in the race. Most of the time in the race they're going 95, 97% attack, that sort of thing, because they do want to keep their tire temperatures in check. Please do both the timings, gap to leader, and intervals. Unfortunately, there's just not enough space, really. I would love to, but yeah, during the race, I do have that. So I've got 2 separate modes, as you can see here. I've got quali mode and I've got race mode. And in the race mode, I do have the interval and then the gap to the leader because it's much more sort of important in the race for the pit stop timings to work out to see the gap to the leader. But for the qualifying mode, it's very much, I just keep it to be the gap to the leader because it's, yeah, we're just a bit tight for space, really. If I make the font too much smaller, then the people that are on their phones can't read the font. And I think there's about, I think it's 35% of people watching are watching on their phone. So it's a pretty significant majority that I can't just ignore. I wish there would be, what's it? 2 different streams that I could do. One stream for people watching on mobile, one stream for people watching on TVs. So a big sort of. So I could have loads of detail for the people that are watching on TVs because, of course, they've got a huge screen. But unfortunately, YouTube does not have that option. Okie dokes, folks. So this is it. 15 minutes remain of FP3. So these are the final 15 minutes for the drivers to build up before they get to qualifying. So this is it. This is the quali sims. They're going to be coming out low fuel load, fresh set of soft tyres, and probably we're going to get 3, maybe even 4 flying laps before the end of the session. So put in your predictions now. Who is going to be top of FP3? Is it going to be the McLarens? Is Max going to pull a lap out of nowhere? Is it going to be the Mercedes? They look pretty strong as of right now. Is Charles Leclerc just going to do something sensational? But yeah, he is out there on a fresh set of softs, Charles Leclerc, and he's going to be driver number 1 on this quali simulations. Okay, what does the blue mean? The drivers are in the pits, folks. The drivers are in the pits, so that means the pit lane. So this is pit lane exit, this is pit lane entry. Yeah, that's what the blue means. Is Lewis being investigated for the red flag mishap? He is. Incident involving car 44 has been noted for a red flag infringement. If he does get found guilty of whatever he did, I don't know exactly what he did. But if the FIA says that, you know, this was his fault, he couldn't, he genuinely made a mistake here, then it will most likely be a 10-place grid penalty, folks. Oliver Behrman has done this twice now, got red flag infringements both times. He got a 10-place grid penalty. So it could be bad news for Lewis Hamilton, depending on what he did. I don't know exactly what he did, but the FIA will investigate it, I think, after the end of the session, and we'll see how it goes. All right, Norris out on a fresh set of softs. Charles Leclerc's on a flying lap. All right, let's go on board with Mr. Charles Leclerc then. Through the first sector, looking pretty nice. Second fastest first sector we have seen all weekend long. 26.899 from Charles Leclerc through the first sector. Now he continues on through turns number 8 and 9. Very close to the barriers is Charles Leclerc, but he's pushing quite nicely. The car looks stable underneath him as well, so not too many issues there for the Monegasque driver. Looking pretty good as well through the middle sector. The car is stable. I'd say the Ferrari's looking a lot better than it was yesterday, not bouncing around too much as well, which was another problem they were suffering from. Isaac Hadjar is going to give Charles Leclerc a momentary tow before he gets out of the way and Charles Leclerc overtakes him, and now he comes across the third sector line, well, the second sector line. It's a 38.0, again second fastest in the middle sector. So second fastest in the first sector, second fastest in the middle sector. He's now just got the final sector left to go, turn 16 and 17. Alonso across the line, used set of medium tyres, but still 10th position there from Fernando Alonso. Nice to see from him. But now Charles Leclerc, final 2 corners, across the line he goes. What's it going to be? First position by 1/10 of a second. And this is the thing, folks, here. You do not have to be quickest in any 3 of those sectors to actually be fastest out of all of them. You just have to be good in all 3 sectors. You can see here on the right-hand side of the screen, Leclerc second fastest in sector numbers 1, 2, and 3. And the reason he's top of the times is because Antonelli wasn't consistent. His third sector time was just not quick enough. And Charles Leclerc, over the course of the entire lap, was a 10th up. So nice job there, and I think it's time for the Ferrari meme, folks. It's time for the Ferrari meme. We are back. Why is that switched to this? There we go. The Ferrari cycle. We're back. All right, and we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Let's see then. We've got a few more drivers coming in and doing their laps as well then. Lando Norris, purple in the first sector. He goes just over 2/10 quicker, just under 2/10 quicker, sorry, than Charles Leclerc in the first sector. So carrying a lot of speed there. And now his top speed has also gone up 302 kilometers per hour there for Lando Norris. So their engine modes have been ever so slightly turned up, have the McLarens. So that's looking good for them. And it looks like it's over because, you know, we're in the we are so back phase for Ferrari. But, oh, yellow flag, who's that? Never mind. That was a very brief yellow flag. And in the middle sector, Lando Norris goes ever so slightly quicker. What's that? 14 milliseconds quicker than Charles Leclerc in the middle sector. So pretty much neck and neck through the middle sector, through the slow speed corners. Isaac Hadjar, what a final sector from him. And he goes up into second place, only 28 milliseconds back from Charles Leclerc. So racing balls are looking good, but not as good as the McLarens. Charles Leclerc is, Lando Norris is up in first position, 3.5 tenths clear of his rival Charles. And We have got Russell starting a flying lap. Piastri across the line, second place for him. He is also 3/10 back from his teammate, actually. So not ideal there for Oscar. And, he's got to find some more lap time. Okay, then we've got Hulkenberg starting a flying lap. Yeah, we've got loads of people on flying laps now. Okay, so this is pretty much just like qualifying. Can you please mark the DRS spots on the map? The DRS zones are marked with the green dashes. So the green dashes are the DRS zones, and the green dots, these are the detection points for those zones. Behrman up into 7th place. That's a nice job from him in the Haas, and also Ocon up into 7th, actually demoting his teammate down into 8th. But they're both doing better than the Kick Saubers for now. We'll see what Bortoleto and Hulkenberg can do. But Haas will be looking to outscore Kick Sauber this weekend and potentially get themselves up into 8th position in the championship. We have got Franco Colapinto up into 9th position there. Nice job from him. Max Verstappen, 1st position. Oh my goodness me. Here we go then, folks. It looks like it's not going to be a McLaren fest. We're going to have McLarens versus Max Verstappen versus maybe even Lewis Hamilton as well. Maybe even versus Carlos Sainz, because somehow he's just stuck that McLaren up into 3rd position. Sorry, stuck that Williams up into 3rd position. And oh my goodness me, he's got a podium last race, and he is he's on a roll, isn't he? He is on a roll. We've got George Russell up into 2nd place, and he goes ahead of Lando Norris as well. You've got to take into account the circuit is getting ever so slightly quicker as the time goes on, as the laps go on, which is going to help with things. But that's still quite a significant improvement there from Russell and Antonelli. So the Mercedes, whatever setup changes they made overnight, they've worked pretty well. But we've still got Max Verstappen, or Franz Hermann, shall we say, up in P1. All right, Bortoleto is 15th position and Hulkenberg is 8th. Okay, so yeah, the Haas well, they're ahead of Bortoleto. They're not ahead of Hulkenberg. We'll see how that works out for them once we get to quali. Yeah, Mr. Sate has done a good job, hasn't he? Half a 10th back from Max and a 10th up on Lando Norris. Piastri's into the pits. Lando Norris is continuing on. Okay, so maybe Piastri's getting some setup changes as well. Yeah, maybe, just even a front wing tweak can make all the world of difference here. And, change the balance of the car, make it a lot more drivable. So maybe that's what Piastri's looking for. Also, it's just come over the race control messages. The FIA stewards involving the car number 44, Lewis Hamilton, will be investigated after the session for the red flag infringement. So yeah, red flag infringement. Lewis Hamilton potentially could be getting a 10-place penalty if the stewards decide that he broke the rules. F1 Gamer, will you be commentating on Verstappen's GT3 races as well? Well, if I can get my hands on some GT3 data, then probably yes. But I don't really know, actually. I will. I'll see what I can do. It is I don't know much about GT3, to be honest, so I can't guarantee my commentary will be amazing, but I'll do my best. Also, it does get a little bit tiring, to be honest, doing commentary every single race weekend. I think GT3 races are also a little bit longer than Formula 1 races, but I'll see, because yeah, 25 races in a year. That's nearly half the 24 races in a year. That's nearly half the weekends in the year. So, yeah, I do have a few other things to keep doing on weekends. What happens to the Astons? They haven't done their flying laps yet. Well, Stroll's done his flying laps. Alonso hasn't. So we'll find out what happens once Stroll does his flying lap. Once Alonso does his flying lap. Sorry. But he's looking good so far in the 1st and 2nd sectors. But overall, still not perfect, really, from Fernando Alonso. And the Astons, their pace, once again, it was looking good in practice, and we're starting doing the quali sims, and maybe it's not looking so good. Yeah, only up into 13th position there for Fernando Alonso. Okie dokes. What happened to the Oscar penalty? I don't know. I don't think Oscar did get a penalty. So, also, I'd appreciate if you don't spam in the chat, folks. Someone will answer your question. You know, we've got a lot of people that are very, very helpful in the chat, and they do answer your question. So one question is usually enough. If not, I'll probably find it and see it as well. Invite Greg James over for a guest spot. Maybe. I don't know who Greg James is, but I'll have a look. Alex Albon up into 10th position. Very nicely done there from Alex Albon. 6 minutes remain of this quali session, and we have got... Yeah, we've got Max Verstappen up in first position. Pretty good. Can you add battery percent for the race? Unfortunately, I don't have access to the battery percentage data. That only comes up very infrequently, occasionally up on the TV footage, but it doesn't actually come through the normal software that I use to get the data. So yeah, and also it's never accurate. Like, it's also sort of just like a bit of a prediction that has been made up. Like, we don't actually know what percentage the battery is on. It will be super tiring. It's like 5 hours long. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I did do pre-season testing commentary. I think the streams were like 9 hours long or something. 4 hours for the first morning session, then a 1 hour break, and then another 4 hours. So it was like 9 hours long of commentary, which by the end of it, my throat was absolutely destroyed. But I think it was all right. I don't know how frequently I could carry on doing that, though. You didn't prepare an upcoming live stream for quali? I do. Once this stream ends, it'll take you over to it. In fact, I can just set it to public right now. So, alrighty, we've got 11,000 people watching the stream. Thanks everyone for tuning in as well. Hope you guys are enjoying the coverage. I know a few of you will be from a few other YouTube channels because they aren't streaming. I think Stuffy isn't streaming today. Yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying the coverage, and like to do my best for the commentary for you folks. All right, track temperature is down to 39 degrees Celsius. It's going to be falling as we get towards quali. I expect it to be around 34 degrees for qualifying, and air temperature staying around about the same at 31 degrees. Qualifying is in 2 hours and 30 minutes. It's there at the top right of the screen. And yeah, once the stream ends, it'll take you over to the qualifying stream, and you can press the reminder button and get a notification and all of that stuff. Oh, yellow flag again. Who's that? Coming out the pit lane. We've had it gets quite congested actually. If you've got a driver coming through turn number 1 and 2, and then also a driver through the pit lane, you actually get quite a bit of congestion and quite easy to crash, especially if you're not paying attention to your mirrors. But that yellow flag gets called off quickly, and I think Behrman and Antonelli make it out just fine. Okay. So, folks, who do you think is going to be getting pole position? Is it going to be Max Verstappen? Is it going to be George Russell? Is it going to be the McLarens? Who knows? Isaac Hadjar, great lap again from him, up into 6th position. Carlos Sainz, can he get back-to-back podiums in the Williams? Who knows what will happen? F1 game, you could save your voice by recording yourself and playing it over soundboard. Just record yourself explaining what the colours mean on the track. Yeah, I know. I do sort of say the same things quite frequently, you know, like, oh, please like and subscribe and stuff like that. But I think it might also get a little bit boring, you know, for the people that listen to my streams very frequently from... You know, if you're watching the streams for the entire season, if you hear me say the same thing about 10 times about, oh, what the colours mean on the track, then it might get a little boring. So I think it's also good to mix it up. But, yeah. Max Verstappen pole position, interesting. Okay, yeah, it's going to be Alonso, trust. Maybe. Carlos Sainz 55 says it's going to be Carlos Sainz on pole position. Maybe it will. But, you know, the gap isn't that big. It's only a quarter of a second between Sainz and Verstappen. So, looking pretty solid. Could be Antonelli, could be George Russell. Their pace looks very good. Now, the question is, will it translate over to qualifying? Because the conditions are going to be vastly different. Currently, you know, it's daytime in Singapore. It's going to be nighttime once we get to quali. And that's going to, well, change a lot of things up. And... we'll see if the drivers will be able to do the same in quali. Also, prediction, how many red flags are we going to have? How many red flags are we going to have in quali? Because we've had quite a few red flags here in practice, and I have a feeling that we are definitely going to have at least one, but my prediction would be 3. Yeah, I think we're going to get 3 red flags, to be honest. Is Singapore hard to overtake? It's reasonably difficult to overtake, but also there are 4 DRS zones here, which aids significantly. I would say the previous layout that we had, maybe, 2018, 2019, that was very tough to overtake at, but with the extra added DRS zones, it's quite the interesting race, and it is, yeah, I'd say you can make some pretty good overtakes around here. Singapore is crazy with the red flags. Yeah, I mean, we've had, it's just, again, another street circuit and literally no margin for error. So it's going to be very, very similar to Baku, I think. Antonelli, purple in the middle sector. Oh, my goodness me. It's supposed to be the McLarens that are really good in the slow speed, but apparently not. Antonelli is having none of it. Purple through the middle sector. He's just got 16, 17 left to go now for him. And, turn number 18 and 19, you've tapped the brakes, flick the car to the left, and that is that. So I'll take you through an onboard lap of the circuit, and then I shall probably end the stream. But Antonelli up into 3rd position. So, yeah, this is a lap of the circuit here. Brake around about the 70-meter mark, clip this first apex over the curbs again for turn 2, brake in a straight line for turn number 3, all the way out to the right-hand side for the exit turn number 3. And, oh, double yellows. Who's that for? Never mind, we'll continue on. Through you go through turn number 5. Make sure to carry as much speed as you can because there's quite a lengthy straight. You got DRS as well through here. Brake in a straight line for turn number 7. Don't spin out over the curb like Liam Lawson did. Then you go through towards turn number 8. Another right-hand corner, 90-degree corner. Then again, same thing for turn number 9. Just carry as much speed and keep yourselves well away from the barrier because, well, you're gonna, if you do crash, obviously it's pretty bad news, especially with your front suspension. If you crash with your front wheels, that's bad news. Your rear wheels can take a bit of a beating, your front wheels cannot. Make sure you miss this little what's it called, this little pillar here on the right hand side. I'll just show you again. Charles Leclerc tapped it yesterday in FP1, but this little white pillar here on the right hand side, if you do touch it, quite a high chance of just crashing out immediately. So Piastri purple through the middle sector, looking very nice through there. Then you continue on down towards turn number 14, and you got DRS through this corner. Again, you got to be careful because you've got the barrier, which is quite close to the track, and then suddenly the barrier ends. You get this curb, and you got an extra about 2 meters to play with, which is very tricky to deal with, and it's very easy to misjudge that and have your rear wheels tap the outside barrier. Piastri up into 2nd place, only 17 milliseconds back, very nicely done. Lando Norris unable to improve that much, and he stays in 5th position. And you come through the final 2 corners, don't hit the barrier like I just did there, and tap the brakes, flick the car to the left, and that is a lap of Singapore, folks. And that is also the end of the session. So I'll take you through the standings. Max Verstappen up in 1st position. And honestly, if he gets pole position here, he's in for a great fight for the championship. Because if he can perform at the high speed, if he can perform at the low speed, then there's nothing that he can't do. And it's game on. And, if Max has to win the championship, if he's going to win the championship, everything needs to be absolutely perfect. But if there's one driver that you can count on to be absolutely perfect till the end of the season, it's Max Verstappen. You've got Piastri there in 2nd place, only 17 milliseconds back, so he should be very much in the fight as well. Russell, half a tenth back. Antonelli, 1/10 back. Norris and Antonelli set the exact same lap time, duplicate lap times. The field is so close. We've had this happen so many times this season. Duplicate lap times between Antonelli and Norris. Great to see. And we're going to have real good competition between the Mercs, the McLarens, and Max Verstappen. The Ferrari a little bit too far back. We've got Sainz in 6th, Hadjar 7th, Hamilton 8th, Hulkenberg 9th, Leclerc 10th, Alex Albon in 11th, Bortoletto 12th, Ocon 13th, Behrman 14th, Alonso 15th, Colapinto 16th, Stroll 17th, Sonoda 18th. A lot of work to do for him. Gasly is in 19th, and Lawson has missed quite a lot of practice due to his crashes, and it doesn't bode well for quali, but we'll see what he can do. Okay, so I think that is all from me, folks. Thank you all for tuning in. We've got a bit of an incident there between, I think it was Max Verstappen and Franco Colapinto, but they avoided that without any sort of damage, and yeah, maybe Williams can get up there in the top 5 as well. But the top 5 all within a 1/10 of a second. I mean, that's just incredible. So, yeah, qualifying is going to be extremely close. And let's see what happens. So, yeah, 5-way fight for pole position. You cannot miss this one. And, yeah, that is all from me, I think. So, thank you all for tuning in. It's been a pleasure commentating to you guys and, doing the F1 Gamer podcast during the red flags and stuff like that. So, I'm going to end the stream now. I'll take you over to the qualifying stream. Just hit the like button on it. Hit the reminder button as well. It goes a long way to helping out the channel in the YouTube algorithm. And yeah, be sure to subscribe. And hopefully we can hit 199k subs today. So that's the target. Anyways, yeah. Have a wonderful morning, day, afternoon, evening, or night. I'll see you in 2 hours' time when the stream starts for quali. So yeah, I'm just going to take you over to the quali stream. And yeah, that's about it from me. So been a pleasure commentating to you guys. See you in 2 hours for a 5-way fight for pole position at the Singapore Street Circuit.